Okay, so I just made a video about benzodiazepines, and within that video, I told you all to not get prescribed benzodiazepines because whatever you're dealing with, you can work through yourself. I really didn't elaborate on that. So, this is going to be a video about finding your coping mechanisms and knowing what they are and how to use them. So, let's start. What is a coping mechanism? It's a method or modality, essentially an ability that you use to divert yourself from all the nonsense, negative thinking, anxiety, mean thoughts, whatever it is, whatever problem it is you're having, family problems, problems with friends, etc. What you do to ground yourself back to the earth, to get your mind out of the gutter, and to clear your slate, and to make you feel whole again, because that's ultimately what we want as humans. We want to feel balanced and we want to feel whole. So, how do you find your coping mechanisms? Well, first off, a coping mechanism should be healthy. Let's get that out of the way. Smoking weed, not really a coping mechanism. If you really need it, sure, it's a coping mechanism, but I would really say it's only a true coping mechanism if you smoke weed and then go on a walk for a mile, or you smoke weed to enhance your ability to work out or enjoy working out. Another thing that could be called a coping mechanism that isn't really a coping mechanism, sexual intercourse, not a coping mechanism. Masturbation, perhaps, but sex is generally not. The exchanging between two people of energies uh, ultimately is not going to help you. You're going to be getting intertwined with all of their different thoughts and emotions, and it's not going to help you ground to the earth. So let's get those out of the way, that those are not true, to my knowledge and my understanding, coping mechanisms. Those are, I can't even think of the words for it. Those are recreational behaviors or recreational activities that are fun and often cause what you later then need coping mechanisms for. Again, taking a pill is not a coping mechanism. So, what is a coping mechanism? Working out is a coping mechanism. Running, walking, riding a bike, going to the beach, meditating, uh, throwing darts, playing sports, anything that involves you finding yourself in a simple, repetitive, not necessarily, well, it has to be to an extent repetitive activity that then brings you back to, say, the motion of the ocean, that makes you feel whole, that makes you feel like a human. So, how do you find those, and most importantly, how do you use those? Well, when you're going into treatment for anxiety or depression, whatever it may be, you really have to do a lot of internal seeking and searching, whatever you want to call it. You have to search within yourself for the answers, and that requires using your memory to think of, what good times did I have doing what? And if you can think of a good time where you're at a specific place and you were walking along a path and you would go along the path around and around and you really enjoyed that and that brought you back to the earth, well, you find yourself in a depressed state, go to that place and then walk around as long as you can and see if that helps. And if that helps, write that down as a coping mechanism and then use it. That brings me on to the next part. And we'll go back to finding more coping mechanisms in a bit, but you know, once you have coping mechanisms, it doesn't mean anything once they're on paper. You need to use them in order for them to equate to any help towards your mental health. Now, again, I'm making this video to divert people from getting prescribed muscle relaxants, basically benzodiazepines as a whole. Anxiety pills, any anxiety pills, you really don't need them. Getting wrong prescription for an atypical antipsychotic that you don't need, such as Seroquel, any of these things, it's much better to find a coping mechanism, a very healthy coping mechanism, punching stuff, running and then punching stuff. We, as humans, we were made to be hunters and gatherers. We're made to chuck spears and go run and eat meat, and that's what we would do all day. Now we're, much more enclosed, atrophy-filled, or we lead more enclosed, atrophy-filled lives, but nonetheless, instinctually and anthropologically, we are hunters and gatherers. So we have to realize, if you're really stressed out and you're feeling a lot of anxiety, maybe you got to throw some punches. Maybe you got to do a bunch of push-ups. Maybe you got to run around the block a couple of times. And once you do that, you're going to get those natural endorphins, which basically, that's what it's basically natural heroin coming out of your brain. That's that's the ultimate high right there. You want to find that. What gives you the most endorphins? What makes you feel the best? And what gives you a sense of accomplishment? You want things that give you a sense of accomplishment, that ground you to the earth. Fishing is a great example. Although I'm not a big fisher, I can see how it helps a lot of people. Just the simple relaxation of casting out and reeling in, and then eventually sometimes catching a fish, is extremely rewarding. It also totally fulfills that hunter-gatherer need that we instinctually have as human beings, as Homo sapiens. So, to run back over this video, you don't need any of these prescription drugs they're trying to push on you. Unless you're getting arrested, unless you're trying to kill yourself, unless you're a harm to yourself or the others around you. I'm talking to younger kids, young adults, and adults, everybody on the planet. You don't need these drugs, okay? These doctors make their money off that little pad of paper. That's their checkbook, okay? You do not need to feed that. What you need to do is take what they give you. You take that prescription and you really analyze, I can either take this or I can go run around the block and I can see how that makes me feel. Yeah, it's going to be easier to go to the pharmacy and pay a couple of dollars with insurance to get these pills. But if I take the extra step, if I take the initiative and I use my free will as a human being to run around the block or to go fishing or to go punch a wall that isn't going to break, get a punching bag or something, get something that isn't going to break, okay? Don't do it out of fits of rage. Do it out of knowing that it's going to help you. Go find your medicine and use it. Don't let your medicine come in one of those stupid orange bottles, stupid yellow bottles, okay? Let your medicine come from within. Find your medicine and you will prevail. You won't need to see doctors anymore. You won't need the therapist anymore, the psychiatrist, the psychologist. They'll become, not important. Inexplicable. They will have no purpose in your life because you have your own internal medicine and you will know how to use it. So that's all I have to say for this video. Go with God. I know a lot of people don't like God. If you're an atheist, go with whatever you believe in, okay? Just try to lead a happy and healthy life. Do not hurt other people. Do not harm yourself. Try to smile as often as possible, even if you're forcing it. And try to love one another. God bless.